I heard the news today, oh boy. Hello everyone, welcome to His Author's Voice. And I am the author Jack Sanger, and I did hear the news today, and there was a little item on it which stimulated me to write this short story. And so, hot off the press, here it is. Change of heart. After intermittent scares over 2 years, he was admitted into hospital in the semi-darkness of pain and squinting, tearful eyes. 1 minute he'd been brushing his teeth. The next he was face down on the checkerboard of black and white bathroom tiles. The pain in his chest was excruciating. He thought he heard his wife scream. Later, a momentary flash of awareness told him he was in an ambulance. Raining in my heart, the song bounced off the bone inside his skull in time to the trolley's squeaking rubber wheels. The drug accentuated it, made it symphonic. As he regained some consciousness, he remembered that by a bitter irony he'd been watching a TV documentary late the night before. In it, a rather intensely sad interviewer was wandering like a ghost from expert to expert, trying to work out why his heart was broken at the loss of his wife to severe clinical depression leading to suicide. All the man was sure of was that what he felt was not a brain thing. It was a pain in the chest thing. Leonardo's heart drawings showed the dissected heart not as a pump, but as a mysterious chambered glory of swirling flows. A scientist compared it to the science of the post-industrial age, which isolated the heart, emphasizing its mechanical utility to the body. This view had pertained until very recently. At school he'd been taught that the heart was a pump. Indeed, it turned out later that a mechanical pump could take the place of the diseased organ and circulate the blood admirably. However, the documentary elaborated that in the last few years of medical exploration, the heart was shown to be so complex, the blood flows so reminiscent of Leonardo's drawings, that one had to be mind-blown at the infinite complexity of its workings and its purpose in the body. It is a wonderful creation of chaos and order. But what apparently turned present-day research into a vindication of anecdotal and poetic understanding of the heart over thousands of years of human history was the discovery that the heart had its own neural network, independent of the brain. Indeed, when it came to emotion, it could be the heart that informs the brain on how to react to events in the world. Heartfelt, broken-hearted, heartless, a heavy heart, light-hearted. Terms we have taken to be symbolic are actually real, organic responses to the world. Blurry masked faces interrupted his reverie. Transparent tubes and steel floated about him. There was a whistling dive into darkness and a grim recall of floor tiles, cold and hard. Then he was observing from the ceiling. Old heart out, new heart in. The surgeon's bloody gloves, the robot's precise blade. Then he felt his body welcoming the heart stranger. But at the same time there was a fragmentation, a sense of his old heart memories being torn and fluttering away on some mental tempest. Wife, children, house, dog, job, university, school, childhood, babyhood, became shreds in the storm. New images were forming. They came into view with an odd sense of familiarity. The delight of rooting in soil, beetles, worms, and fermenting fruit tickled and delighted his leathery, damp muzzle. There was a sense of being sucked back into himself, a whistling back into consciousness. His feeling for his body was returning. There was his wife. There were the robed doctors. Technology bleeped and hummed about him. Tubes pumped in and out. A month later, he was at their home in the Pyrenees after an early morning car ride, his wife driving cautiously. "What would you like for breakfast?" "Streaky bacon, your favourite?" Nausea swept through him. He swallowed hard, allowing the pain in his heart to subside. For a moment he thought it was the first sign of rejection, but it passed. "Truffle omelette." His voice was terse, she thought, not loving. She had hoped the near-death experience would change him from the cold, purposeless ennui of his pre-operation life. Later that day she took him to the countryside for a walk in the woods. He had never seen the trees, their leaves, and the loam under his feet looked so incandescently vivid. He found himself dropping on his haunches and allowing the sweet-smelling decay to sift through his fingers. She walked on ahead, a little perplexed at his behaviour, but determined not to cross him in any way on the joyful day of his return. He sniffed the air. Someone was approaching. He set off towards the newcomer. His eyes narrowed as he came into view. A great black boar, head up, weirdly purposeful on its trotters. He stood still, his mind grappling with surprise at his lack of fear. He dropped onto his haunches. The boar pressed its forehead against his chest. A sudden warmth spread from his heart round his body. The boar turned, and he knew he must follow. A mile or so later they were overlooking industrial buildings. A livestock lorry was waiting to be loaded. There was no one in view. The boar stared at him and waited. He slipped down the slope like a shadow and began opening the hangar doors one after another. The squealing stopped as the pigs caught his thought command to follow in silence. He led them, hundreds in line, back, up the slope, and into the woods. "This is your land," he thought to them. The black boar led them away into the Pyrenean wilderness. Later he found his wife. "I thought you had lost yourself," she said lightly. "Should I have been worried?" "No, quite the opposite. I think I've found myself," he replied, nosing her gently on the neck. And that was Change of Heart. I've podcasted elsewhere on this site under the heading of the art of writing about the sorcery of inspiration. And here we have a radio broadcast that I was half listening to, and I amalgamated it with some knowledge I had acquired about the latest scientific understanding of the heart itself, and up comes a short story. And to round it off, I had to try and find some kind of twist ending, because I've written about twist endings as well and podcasted about them. So it's very gentle in this case, but it is a twist ending, and I hope you enjoyed it. You can, of course, go to my website, www.jacksanger.com, and download for free or make donation, whatever you wish, for novels, plays, short stories. Lots to entertain. I hope you click the button and subscribe to the site, and I hope you come back for more soon, because I'll be coming back to give you more soon. That's all for now. Bye-bye.